Hello, everybody. How are you? Hold on. Wilson, come. Wilson, come. No, no. Come on. Come on. Okay. You stay, Quinn. Okay. Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. We were going to have Pat from our former SeaWorld trainer and trainer extraordinaire come on tonight, but he just texted me, messaged me a little while ago and said that he was not able to make it. So I'm going to fly from the seat of my pants because that was my plan, that he be here, and he's not. No, I have several things that we can discuss. My house is a little bit in disarray right now because I'm preparing to move, and so my manual and where I write all my notes is in a box somewhere, and I thought I left it out and I can't find it. So anyway, we're gonna see what we can get through tonight. So first thing I want to remind you is that, I know a couple of people had texted me and said that they had not gotten the link. So you really need to be looking for the newsletter. Laura is sending out a newsletter every month, and in that newsletter is the information for the Zoom trainings, the Zoom Q&A. So if you're not getting the newsletter, you need to type in the chat and let me know your email, because we want to make sure that everybody is getting that. So on that newsletter is all the information you would need. So it's not necessarily replacing a reminder email, but for right now it is, until we get somebody else in the office who can send those reminder emails. Right now that newsletter is, so you need to keep that newsletter handy. And keep it where you can reach it quickly, because it does. I also believe Laura put the link on the newsletter. So just be aware of that. I know we were getting reminders from Kate on a fairly regular basis about our trainings, and it's just really hard for Ellen to do that and do all of the other stuff that she is doing. So check your newsletters. If you're not getting it, put your email in the chat along with your name and the dog you have, and we'll go from there. Another thing that I need to share with you, the things that I always share at the beginning of our Zoom calls are, if you ever have a problem, a medical problem, to please make sure you reach out to New Horizons. Chances are right now you'll get a voicemail. Leave a voicemail, but also you'll get an emergency number. Go ahead and call that emergency number and let them know what's going on. So that's for any medical issues. Also, please make sure that if you're having a problem, if you're having a training problem, or you're having an issue with your dog, that you are reaching out to me. I know a lot of you have my cell phone. I have no problem with you reaching out to me. If it's something that I feel I need to reach out to Ellen or the director in regards to, I will. But sometimes we can handle things if you just reach out to me first, if it's a training issue. So don't let it go too long. You have something like you have a puppy and the puppy's biting, or you have a dog that's counter surfing, or those types of things, and you're having an issue and just need some suggestions. Please don't hesitate to get a hold of me or Laura if you have her number, because both of us are more than willing to help and want to make sure that you're being successful. So please reach out. I will put if you don't have my number, I will put it in the chat again now, and then I'll do it at the end. So just be sure that you're not getting to the point of frustration. And if I can't help you or I don't know the answer, I will find out for you. So please be sure that you're doing that. The other thing is to make sure that your dogs are groomed and well kept when you take them out. We don't want dirty New Horizons dogs going out. It made me think of something, and yeah. So You want to make sure that they're groomed well, that you're brushing them, that they don't have, poop hanging from their butts. I know the labs don't really deal with that, but the Goldens do because of all that long hair. So please make sure that you're checking for that. Yesterday, I happened to be at the airport with Wilson, and all I could think of when he was standing next to me so nicely, oh my God, I don't, because normally I kind of do a quick check before I leave the house. And we just were in such a hurry that I didn't. And I thought, oh God, I hope he doesn't have poop on his butt. And he's not one of my dogs who does normally. And I brush them so often that it's not a problem, but it is something that we as the Golden people need to think about and be aware of, because we just wouldn't want to take them out and have them have that issue. The labs, it's not really an issue for them for the most part. So please be aware of that. Please be sure if you are having trouble grooming your dog, just especially their paws. We don't want their feet all grinchy and their fur hanging out. I just went recently and did one of our advanced training dogs, who's kind of hanging out right now. And I was really glad the person called me, because that dog is being taken out right now for training sessions. And I wanted to be sure that they were groomed. And so it's not a problem. I have no problem helping, especially if I'm in a location where I can get to you quickly. I want to do what I can. So just be sure, when you see, especially around the dog's paw, that the fur is starting to grow up, especially on our Goldens. Again, the labs don't really have this issue, but the Golden Retrievers do. And then they also grow on the bottom of their pads. And I would have to ask, let's see, I think, Valerie, does Conan have that issue where the hair grows out of the bottom?
It's not really growing. I don't know if it's because it gets like worn off, but yeah, like he came to me and it was super short and it's kind of just stayed super short. But like my lab has long toe hair, so
okay, interesting.
I don't
know. So just be aware that the bottom where the hair grows out of the pad, you just want to cut it so that it's even with the pad to prevent them from slipping and sliding. And then the hair that grows out of the toes, there are some videos on our Facebook friends page. You may have to go back a ways, or maybe if you're on your computer, you can look at videos. And I think all of them get stored in the videos. I don't know if you can look at that from your phone. So anyway, there are some videos on there that do some grooming with the toes. So just be aware of that. Let's see, what else? Oh, hold on. There's a couple of different places I am looking. So one of the things I saw recently in the manual that I thought would be super helpful for us to just kind of talk about, gotta get back there. Also, if you are a new raiser and you don't have a current manual, please let us know in the chat. And again, give us an email. We want you to have a current manual. You should have a puppy manual, because it has all of the stuff in it that you need to have. Let's see. Nope. Okay, so one of the reasons that we ask you to be consistent with your dog in regards to commands is because if you are not, the dog is going to be confused. So it's super important, one, and you hear me say this a lot in person and on Zoom, know your commands. And those are in our manual. So you have to have a manual in order to know the commands. I actually took screenshots and I have them on my phone so that if I ever wonder or I'm out and I don't have my manual with me, I at least have the commands on my phone available to me very quickly. Or if somebody says to me, hey, I need the commands, I can send it to them. But I keep them handy because sometimes I forget. Like somebody emailed or texted me the other day and said, is there a command for the dog to get out of your vehicle? There is for in, it's load. But to get out, it's out. Or I say unload, but that's not an official command. So that was something I had to go back in my manual and look at. So just be sure that you are using the correct command and that we're not adding a whole bunch of extra words to it. Come on, buddy, let's go, come on. I mean, I know we all do that, but just especially our puppies, our younger dogs, it's super important that we're using commands and we're using the correct commands and we're using them consistently because we don't want to confuse the dogs. And that's what's going to end up happening if we're using all these extra words, because We, knowing our English language, we understand it. If I say to Valerie, come on, Valerie, let's go. Come on, let's do this. She's going to understand. But a dog is going to be like, what are you saying? They need one word, come, or let's go, or load. So be sure, especially with our young pups, that you're using that. The other thing that's real consistent throughout when the dog goes from a puppy raiser to the inmate to back to a puppy raiser to advanced training is the correction, So if you're not very good in using that, you might want to stand in front of the mirror and practice. So when my husband first, I kind of said, you have to use this. It's a correction. You've got to learn it. He sounded like he was throwing up. So I kind of forced him to practice it because sometimes it can stop your dog. So Thanos he'll start to go towards the end of the driveway, like out into the road, and I'll be like, and he'll stop and turn around and look at me. And I don't have to say anything. And he knows that voice, that means something. So it's real important that you have that voice down. It can't be, I mean, once in a while it can be. If you have a really good dog that's well-trained, you're working with an advanced dog, but that is not going to work with a puppy. Even Wilson, who is ready to be placed, once in a while, I have to use to him to get him to stop. And he does, but it's a correction. So it's important, one, that you're using that as a correction, and two, that you're using it like immediately. So as soon as you see the dog doing something that they shouldn't be doing, or you want to correct them, you're using that. We use it across the board. Most people in our organization use it. Most of our trainers, raisers, people in our inmates use it. So please make sure that you are aware of that and that you're using it on a regular basis. It can sometimes save a dog, just that sound, especially if you're using it correctly. So if you need practice, then stand in front of your mirror and practice, or practice with your dog. Just know the sound. So let's see what else. The other reason that, especially with our older dogs, if we're not consistent with the training, they become, and in the manual it says, an obnoxious teen. So imagine the most obnoxious teenager. Maybe you've raised one. I think I have. Just be aware that if you're not remaining consistent with the commands, with crating the dog, with not allowing them to beg, those types of things, that they're just going to get worse because you're not correcting it. You're not fixing the problem, or you're not even stopping the problem. So it's super important. You know, if your dog is jumping, it's your job to stop it. They should not be jumping on you. They should not be jumping on other people. And if you're having a problem with that, you need to let somebody know and let us help you fix it, because that's super important. I know dogs, it's okay for our dogs to get excited. It's okay for them to just wriggle their butts and be like, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. But if they're jumping,
Stuff like that anymore. Like
So, where did you go? Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so the puppy wants to jump up on her legs and, greet everybody every once in a while. What is the deal? I have her on a leash. I stand on the leash so she can't.
Right.
But
Okay.
what is the trick so this doesn't become a good behavior for her?
So if you're doing that, if you're stepping on her leash and you're not allowing her to, so first of all, I wouldn't let her greet people if she's still acting like, oh my God, I gotta greet them. I wouldn't let her. I just say to the people, I'm real sorry, she can't make a friend right now. Once she settles, either standing or sitting, either one. Sitting is preferable for puppies because they seem to have more control when they sit. But if she's controlled and standing, then she could make a friend. Then she could greet people. Probably as a puppy, Kenny, I know everybody wants to make a friend, especially when she has her vest on. I just wouldn't let her. I would just say, I'm real sorry, she can't make a friend, she's working, because it's only going to get worse.
Okay, so the best idea is when she's on her leash, to stand on it so she can't. And then when she's down, happy, good girl, give her a treat and live happily ever.
Yep, you definitely want to reward her when she's sitting calmly and can greet somebody calmly, but don't let her make a friend or interact with people when she's being naughty.
Okay, thank you.
Not naughty, but jumping. I mean, jumping is not something we want our dogs doing. they can't do it when they get with their people. And I know they get excited. You know, I totally understand. I come home after work and my dogs are super excited. But the minute they start to jump, I turn away, I ignore them. I will even hold them down and not talk to them for a minute if I have to, just because I don't want them jumping. And, you know, we all deal with that. So if you're aware of it and you are attempting to stop it, those are the most important things. And you see some, so Kenny, you should see some improvement with her over time, as long as you're doing it consistently. So that's one of our big things, is being consistent. If you do it one day and then you don't do it again for a week, and then you do it another day, and then you let 2 days go by, if you're letting time go by while you're trying to teach them something, you have to literally do it every single day. So if you know your dog has a problem with jumping on other people, somehow you want to allow that you want to go somewhere where you can meet somebody, but not allow them to make a friend. It's okay for our dogs not to make a friend, because when they're with their person, think about that. So I say to people when they want to make a friend with the dog and I say no, they say, and if they look a little put off, I will say, well, would you make a friend with a wheelchair? I mean, and I know that sounds kind of funny, but really, would you go up and pet a wheelchair? I mean, these dogs are assistive devices. That's what they are. They help people. And so I know they're beautiful and I know we want to love on them. I totally get that. I am right with you. But when I think about who they're going to and what they have to do when they get there and what they're going to be expected to do, letting them make a friend with every Tom, Dick, and Harry, whoever comes along, is not the best for the dog. So just be aware of that. There are times when I just went and got my haircut and I took Wilson with me, and the lady said, can I make a friend? And I said, no, not right now, because I can tell he's going to act like a knucklehead. So she didn't. And he actually was being very good. She didn't know, but I could tell. After a little while, Wilson came over, sat right under my chair, was waiting a little bit. And then the lady said, can I make a friend? And I said, yeah. And she came over. Wilson didn't move. He stayed right there. But he learned from the first time when he couldn't do it. So you have to know your dog well enough to know when to say yes and when to say, no, I'm sorry. And people sometimes don't like it. And I am at the point now, I've raised enough dogs. I don't care if they don't like it. My best interest is in the dog and what's good for the dog. So anybody want to share any experience they've had recently? Or maybe you're having trouble with that.
I have a question about the loading and unloading.
Okay.
So when I unload the dog, first thing I say is wait.
Mm-hmm. Yep, perfect.
And then I say, okay, let's go. Is that wrong?
No, nope, nothing wrong with that. That's beautiful.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Yes. So thank you, Linda. Perfect example. Before your dog gets out of the car, and I do too, even before I open the door, I'm saying wait. I don't even get the door open and the dog hears me saying wait. And as I'm opening it, I'm saying, because puppies have a hard time waiting. And sometimes I have to like scoop my hand right in there to stop them. The older dogs know. Now Wilson will stand right at the edge of the seat to get out. Quinn will stand back a little bit and be like, okay, whenever. So every dog is different, but yes, absolutely. Make your dog wait before they unload, and then, okay, let's go is fine. That's probably, Linda, what I use too, now that I think of it. Okay, let's go, because you're going. I dress my dog in the vehicle. I have them put their vest on in the vehicle while they're standing. Okay, let's get dressed, and I'll dress them. And then it's okay, let's go. So yeah, definitely if you're not using the wait command before you get out of the vehicle, you should be. They should be waiting, standing there, waiting nicely. That's super important. That's why we have our dogs sit and wait for their breakfast, and they sit and wait for their lunch if they get lunch, and we sit and wait for our dinner, and we sit and wait before we go out the door, because it's super important that these guys learn to wait. So good point. Thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, another way that and I think we kind of touched on this, but another thing that causes problems when we don't reinforce things is that, us not reinforcing, us as the handler, not reinforcing good behavior and expecting good behavior only is going to cause problems down the road for the next person. Remember, you're not the only person who's going to handle this dog. It's going to be you and then another person and then another person and another person. And we want to give that dog the best bang for their buck. So if you're consistent and you are correcting them when necessary and you are treating them if needed or when necessary, then when they get passed on, then the next person hopefully will do the same thing. The goal with all of these Zooms is really to get everybody on the same page, to get everybody doing the same thing at the same time. And if you hear inconsistencies, you need to say, hey, that's not what you said last time. You need to catch me up on it, because that could happen. Anything's possible. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. And sometimes I forget, oh yeah, that's right. But like Linda made a good point. She's right. I say load to get in. And then when we go, I say, get dressed and okay, let's go. So I don't even say unload or out. Once in a while, I would say it to Quinn because she doesn't like to get out of the car. Once she's in, she wants to stay there. So sometimes I say to her, we got to go home now. And I'll have this whole conversation, which what I just said to you earlier is ridiculous because she's just like, I'm waiting for you to get back in the car and go for a ride. So you have to know your dog. Wilson, I say, let's go, and he's out. Same thing with Thanos. Oh, Bissell is out, would be out if you didn't say, wait, he'd be ready to go. Let's do it. So you have to know your dog and you have to understand what they are understanding from you. So if you're using lots of words, and sometimes I'm guilty of that, they're going to be confused, and we don't want them to be confused. We want to be sure that I'm using the same commands as Laura's using the same commands, as Katie's using the same commands, as Liz is using the same, and so on. Everybody needs to be on the same page. And
Wendy,
yes,
one thing about the unload, I do use unload just because I tell them to load and then we unload. But one of the things you might do while they're waiting is to just kind of tug on the leash. You tell them to wait,
yes,
just kind of tug on the leash. You're not dragging them out. It's just, and because if you're watching someone who's trying to deal with a wheelchair or a walker or stuff, that leash can get pulled, tugged before they're actually ready for the dog to come out. So even if the leash is being tugged, the dog should be waiting until they're told, let's go or unload, till they get a command that says they need to do something other than wait.
yep. And tugging. So your older dogs are definitely going to be able for you to tug, and they'll probably pull back, which is fine. They know if you've said wait, it means wait. It doesn't mean wait. Oh, and then if I pull on your leash. So it's a great thing to practice with them. Your puppies, you may have to hold and say wait, and then give it a little tug so they get that sensation and they understand, okay, I'm supposed to be waiting even if it gets tugged on, because somebody in a wheelchair or somebody who doesn't have correct balance may have that leash in their hand and they still want the dog to wait. And if they move wrong and they tug on that leash, the dog has to know it has to stay there until they're released. So good point. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Well, I have a question about, you dress your dog in the car?
I put their vest on in the car.
You don't do
When
it
I get
before you leave
my-
the house?
What?
You don't do it before you leave the house?
I do.
No, I don't, because I've had dogs chew their vest when they
Oh,
lay in the car. So I have the vest on the floor, and I have a hammock, and so the vest goes under the hammock. And when we get to our location, we get dressed then. I've just had several vests, especially the straps, chewed, because if they lay back there and they suddenly are bored, and so I just always dress them when we get there. That's just my thing. If you want to
And-
dress them at home, that's fine.
And I think personal preference, I've not, in the 5 years I've done it, I haven't had a dog chew a vest. And so part of our getting ready to go, we're going to work, we put the vest on, we get in the car, and they're on a work mission. If we're just going somewhere traveling, they don't wear their vest. When we're traveling any distance, it's more comfortable, they're not as warm. We don't wear their vest. They put it on before they get out at the gas station or whatever. But for around town, if I'm running an errand, as I put it on as we leave the house.
Okay,
So once it's on, and even if I'm running errands, I keep it on, but I don't know, I got into this habit that I don't put it on until I get to my place wherever I'm going. So it is more so, it's a personal preference.
okay, so maybe this brings me to, just to clarify, when they wear their vests and when they don't. Whenever they're out in public, I know they should wear the vest.
Yep.
But if you're, or if I'm taking Latte for a walk down the street, I put her, or she has a bandana, but I put that on so that if we encounter anybody on our walk, she's identified as a dog in training, and I expect more of her during those situations. I don't put a vest on her
Now
or
they
the
can hear
bandana if I'm just
on
going
mute.
over to my daughter's house, and but maybe I should, I don't know, what's the, can you
No,
clarify?
that again is personal preference. If you want to take the dog out for a walk with her vest on because you want to identify her as a service dog in training, and maybe that will keep people from wanting to pet her, that's fine. That's not a problem. At some point though, she's got to know the vest comes off and she can just be a dog. So I'm assuming she has those times.
Sure, whenever I take it off, I release her and she goes and does her thing. But
Yeah.
I have to say, I don't put it on every time we go somewhere in the car, unless I know could encounter another person. And she has to know that she's,
Right. As long as you're putting it on anytime you go out in public, like to a store, to where,
Yeah.
those types of places.
yeah, okay,
And if she's just riding to the bank with you and you're going through the drive-through, she doesn't have to put her vest on.
okay,
She's a dog.
yeah,
They still are dogs.
yeah,
Then they can be dogs. And if the person at the bank wants to give them a bone, that's okay. So, yeah. So you decide what works for you, as long as that vest is on and identifies her as a working dog when you are out in public.
okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. So the other thing I see sometimes is that the handler, that's us, has false expectations of the dog's abilities. So our puppies, 6 months and under, 7 months and under, they're learning, and they're learning from you, unless you have another training dog that's older that they're also learning from them. And don't underestimate that. If you have an older dog, your puppy will learn from that older dog. So hopefully they're only learning good things. And they can be really helpful, though. People who have done several dogs at some point, if you get to where like, yeah, I'd like to have an older dog and a puppy, I'm telling you, it's a great experience, because those puppies learn from the older dogs. But the puppies are learning from you. So you want, one, all good things to come from you, but you also want to have not accurate, what's the word I want? You want to have expectations that the dog can meet. So, they're not going to know how to go down, like the command down, when you first get them home. And they might not even know for several weeks until you train them, until you teach them that command. So you don't want your expectations to be too high depending on your dog's age. Now, I always say on these, when you get a dog from the prison, those dogs should know most of their commands. So your expectations should be high. Where your expectations kind of need to be not so high is how long it's going to take the dog to adjust to you. Some dogs will come out of prison and boom, they're ready to work. They have no problem. They kind of fit. They go, okay, this is my next assignment. Not a problem. I feel like Bissell was pretty much like that. He came out, and within a very short time, he was like, woohoo, let's go, and was pretty well behaved. Other dogs that we've gotten out of prison, I feel like it's taken them a little bit longer to adjust to their surroundings, to adjust to the people that they're with, to adjust just to everything. And some dogs it takes a week, some dogs it takes a month. It varies. And a lot of it will depend on you. If you're very confident in your abilities, the dog is going to feel that. If you are like, ooh, I'm not sure I want to take this dog out yet, I'm not really sure what they can do. If that's how you're feeling, that dog's going to pick up on that. And they're going to kind of, I say, fake you out or play you. I told Melina, he's trying, Molina got Goose to continue with his recovery, and he was whining, and I said, oh my God, he is playing you. He, at my house, he went right into his crate. He even was in a room by himself because he was recovering and I didn't want any other dogs to rile him up. So he whined to her and she like slept in the living room with him. So I said, no, that's not how this works. So a dog, I mean, they're smart. They're very smart. So when they come out of prison, I feel like we do have to give them some time. So your expectations, yes, should be high, but you do want to give them that acclimation period because most of our dogs will need some, whether it's a couple of days or a couple of weeks. They're going to need time to get used to you. And they've been in prison for, we don't know how long, however long it's been. Some dogs longer than others recently. So just be aware that you're not expecting too much. There's a happy medium in there somewhere, and you've got to find it. If you're a first-time raiser, call somebody, ask us, let us know. If you're an old hat and you've done this for a while, you'll figure it out. And if you don't, call somebody. Well, me, Laura, Ellen, somebody. We talked about this earlier. So the handler uses commands incorrectly. I can't say enough how important it is to use the correct command. And I am guilty of not doing that as well. So, that's something, if gosh, I don't know the command for that, look it up. It's in our manual. We're trying to make sure that the correct commands are used. And we want to make sure that as that dog gets passed from person to person to person, that those commands are consistent. And the last thing is to expect difficulty when the dog becomes distracted. You're outside and they become distracted by, you name it, a squirrel, a balloon, a car, a bike, another dog. It doesn't matter what it is. The dog is going to become distracted. So you have to decide before you even walk out that door with the dog, how you're going to handle that. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when that dog sees another dog and he's like, rah, rah, and you almost have to anticipate before you even get outside how you're going to handle the situation, how you're going to handle the dog, how you're going to let the dog know you're handling the situation. So that's super important, that before you even go out the door. Okay, if we see a squirrel, I know that this dog has an issue with squirrels. That's a distraction for them. Am I going to make them sit and we're going to watch the squirrel and I'm going to tell them, look, just a squirrel, no big deal? Like, how are we going to handle that? One of the things that Thanos has an issue with right now is sometimes seeing other dogs. Even though Laura and I both have extra dogs, he sees another dog and he's like, oh my God, there's a dog. And he'll like turn his whole body around, not necessarily trying to get to them. I think he'd like to play, but he has this weird thing. I don't know. That's just what I'm seeing recently. So I sometimes will stop and make him sit, which he'll do. And then we'll watch the dog go by. Wow, that's a dog. Isn't that amazing? It's a dog just like you, 4 legs and a tail. And then he's like, oh, okay. And then we move on. So decide how you're going to handle the distraction, because it can be very frustrating to you as the handler if you aren't anticipating those things ahead of time. There was something I was going to add to that. And anybody have any questions or comments, things you want to share, things you've encountered that you're not sure what to do with?
Shamrock, when we were in Lake Mary, was able to jump up on the wall with no problem. I take him to school. He absolutely refuses to jump up to try to push the handicap buttons, which all my other dogs were happy to do, except for Schroeder. Schroeder never did that. But Shamrock is like, I say up, and he just puts his head down.
Put a treat in your hand.
Yeah, I haven't tried it with treats yet because
Put a
everybody
treat-
else has always been so good.
Well, this is early on with him. You just got him. So a bribery sometimes is what it takes. Put a treat in that hand, let him smell that you've got it, hold it up there by where you want him to up, and tell him to up. And when he does, it's party. Woo! Good job, Shamrock.
Okay. I'll try with the treats, but every other dog I've had didn't care about a treat. They just love jumping up and pushing that button.
Right. Well,
Every dog is
every
different.
dog is different.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, we said that in stereo.
It's true. Every dog you get is different. Some you have 5 or 6 or 7 that'll do it boom, boom, boom. And then you get one, they're like, I don't think so. So yeah, you got to figure it out. So if you know they should be getting up there and pushing that button, then what are you going to do to change that situation for that dog so they'll want to do that? And if it's a treat, then because maybe you're teaching him something new. I mean, I can't imagine he didn't do it in prison, but it's possible. Anybody else? Okay, so this in the chat, I put the retrieve sequence. So that's something that we should all be practicing with anything that you can get the dog to retrieve. You have it in your hand, maybe you don't have it in your hand, maybe it's already laying on the ground, or you have it in your hand and you throw it down. So that's normally what I do. I always forget to leave it on the ground and have them get it, but I say, look, get it, yes. And remember, in between those words are your markers as you see them going towards the thing to get it. And then bring it, yes. You may need to use hold, you may not. Wilson is a great holder. He'll hold it in his mouth forever if you give it to him. But I've had other dogs that don't. I can't remember right now if I feel like Thanos drops it. So that hold, and then also if you know your dog is not holding things, you need to practice with them. Just sitting on the couch, wherever you're outside, whatever, just practice with getting something in their mouth and then holding their little snout gently and telling them, hold, yes, good hold. And then practicing retrieve with them. It's something they have to do over and over again till they understand. When Quinn first came out of prison, you would throw the ball to her and as she brought the ball back to you, before she even got to you, she would throw the ball out of her mouth at you. She would not hold it. And so we had to work really hard at getting her to hold it. Not that she is servicing anybody, but just to teach her to hold it. And she does now. She holds right onto it. And also that's because the other dogs come and they want it. But some of our dogs are learning it, but they don't always hold things in their mouth. So they have to hold it so their person can grab a hold of it and pull it to them. So I think of our director whose hands don't always work right. She needs her service dog to hold that item in their mouth until she's got a hold of it. Just because our hands work correctly and we can grab it from them easily, that's not how all of our recipients are. So be aware of that and practice this. I know some of our dogs that you have maybe right now are not great at retrieve, and not every dog is going to need a retrieve, but we like to make sure at least that they have it. So some of our dogs I know, super retrievers, no problem. You just keep practicing it. Those of you that you're not sure, maybe you haven't practiced it, maybe you're new to this, maybe it's still a puppy. Those puppies like to pick up things. Let them pick it up, even if it's something that's, super important, but get it from them. Don't scold them for getting things they shouldn't get. If they got something they shouldn't have gotten, that's your fault. That's my thing. When Wilson picks up something he shouldn't pick up, it's totally my fault. And I will be like, come on, bud. Yep, bring it to me. Come on, bring it. And he'll bring it very reluctantly because he likes to hold it in his mouth. But allow those dogs to pick up whatever they want to pick up. And if it's something they shouldn't have, then just make like it's okay, they have it. Just come on, bring it. And you take it and then you put it away so they can't get it again. And then maybe practice with something they can get. The puppies, you may want to start with things they love, like toys. Have them bring you toys. But that's the sequence that the recipient will use. And so we want to use it. We want to be sure we're using it with all of our dogs in training. Anybody have any questions about that? Yes.
I have a 20-week-old puppy, so she's still pretty brand new to all this.
Aww.
She has picked up a growl when she has something.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a mean growl. It's kind of like a, hey, look at what I got kind of growl.
Yep.
And is
She's a talker.
Yeah.
So she is. She will tell you all about it.
Yep. We call that the golden growl.
Okay,
And
so she's okay with that?
Yep. As long as you can tell that it's not like, this is mine. If it's just
no, it's super playful.
Yes.
She is very proud of herself.
Yep.
She's like, look at what I have kind of thing. So I just wanted to make sure that was okay. And I, because I have a teenager and an almost teenager, and they think it's hysterical, so they encourage it.
Yes.
So before they encourage that too much, I wanted to make sure that it was okay.
Yep, it's the golden growl, and they like to talk and say, hey, look what I'm doing. Hey, look what I got. Hey, look at me. Aren't you so proud of me? Yeah, so
She is very proud of herself.
Yes. As long as it's not something that you can tell is like, I have this, and like it's me. As long as it's playful, because that's, I mean, even our older dogs will do that. Wilson will do that. He'll come out something, carry something out to me with that little like, look what I got. Yeah. So
Yeah. Okay.
it's pretty normal for a lot of our dogs. Good
Okay.
question though. Yep. Excellent question. So those of you that are new, maybe just a few weeks, or maybe even a month or so, Kate was sending out a email with the YouTube link. I'm trying to figure out how to switch those YouTube videos over to the actual New Horizons site, because right now they're on mine. But if you look up, I want to say Wendy Hartman. If you look up Wendy Hartman on YouTube, all of our past trainings are on there. And with some of the trainings, there's videos and that kind of thing. And also, if you go to if you're on Facebook and you are on Friends, which you should be. I mean, as a Razor, it's a great place for resources. On that Razor page, I believe, especially from your computer, if you go to video, there should be videos in there of different training things. I checked a long time ago and it was there. I should probably check again. But so two things. We have the past trainings. I try to upload every training that we've done, Zoom meeting, onto YouTube. And I'm pretty sure it's under my name. If you look up Wendy Hartman, I think there's a picture of me with a dog, so you'll know it's me. And the Friends page has videos, and some of them are training videos. So I've had several of us put some on there of things we've done with dogs. So if you're pretty new, won't hurt to just kind of go through and look at those videos. They might be helpful, possibly.
Is that the Facebook page, or is there a group that's separate?
There's a group. So you have to become friends with either Ellen or me or Laura or somebody, so we can invite you to the Friends page, because the Friends page is a private group. So you can friend request, Laura is under this name and I am under this name. So you can friend request us, and then we can invite you to the group. So if you use Facebook, even if you only use Facebook a little, it's a good place for at least for you to be friends on that group. I hope that made sense. Unless you're Linda Wilson, and then you're not on Facebook at all. That's a texter, which is all good. So yeah, and if you're not a Facebook user, let us know that as well, because we do put a lot of reminders on that Facebook page. What's the matter?
And the links to the meetings and that kind of thing are often on the Friends page.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know what the official status of the March newsletter is, but a minute ago back in the chat, I attached a copy of it. It might not be the official version, but at least you can look at the calendar. If I have a couple of attendance questions, I've got Emmy, but I don't know who the people are attached to Emmy.
Kenny is.
Kenny, okay. Kenny also has Slate.
Slate's in prison. He's serving his time.
Yeah.
Okay, so that
And
that was
Benson's training.
got it. Okay,
So all I have is Emmy, who's 12 weeks old.
got it.
And she's very,
Just working on getting who's here, so you get your name on the wheel for fun and prizes, and so that we can try to get that attendance percentage up out of the 50s into the 60s in March. So
Yes. So our March training is in Sanford off of 46. It is at Laura's Church. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for different training things for us to really look at your dog. So if you at all have a chance to get there, I think it's going to be a real good training. I really enjoyed February's with the cow. That was awesome. If you missed that one, it really was good for our dogs. It made me aware, one, of how good our dogs are. What is your problem? You can't go out there. I'm sorry, you're stuck with me. Made me aware of how good our dogs are with costumed people. And it made me aware of how a couple of our dogs needed some work with costume people. So it was great. We're gonna try to do that again. You know, if you're somebody who goes to Disney, that would be a great place for your dog to see costume people. If you live near Chick-fil-A, find out when the Chick-fil-A is going to be out and go visit. You might be the only adult there with a dog, but that's okay. It's really good for them to see costume people. Some of our dogs had no reaction at all, and some dogs looked at it and went, oh my God, but most of them pretty much didn't have a reaction. They just were like, oh, let me lick that furry hand. So
Well, and the other thing I thought was really important was that you all got to see, did have a couple of dogs that were full stop, no thank you.
Yeah.
And you saw Wendy work with those dogs, you saw their handlers work with those dogs and not say, oh, baby, it's a, don't be scared. It was up, hey, it's a cow. And you step back, you give them some distance and let them get comfortable at a distance. Then you gradually come closer. When they get uncomfortable, you stop and you go off, you do something else, you come back, only this time you come back a little closer. And you all saw that process happen. And if you were watching, you saw dogs that had gone full stop to, well, maybe this is okay. They may not have been super comfortable, but they were so much better. And it was just in that one time. So we talk about exposure,
I
exposure,
have a question
exposure.
about person.
you have a question about what?
About in person. Now, Emmy's 12 weeks. She's getting her next round of puppy shots on Saturday. We weren't allowed to bring her to the parade because she was too young, but all the wagon load of puppies, which came out of the same litter, were in the parade. When is she allowed to come to the in-person trainings?
She would be allowed, I believe, at the end of March.
16 weeks, yeah. When
Yeah.
she's had,
Okay.
Hey, Tammy, this is
4
Katie.
weeks.
I was responsible for the puppies, and so it was very strict. Like they were not allowed out of the wagon. I picked them up, I dropped them off, and they weren't allowed to interact with any other dogs. So it was very controlled environment that I got the green light to include the puppies.
Oh, okay. I just want to make sure I don't show up somewhere with Emmy and then have somebody get upset with me. So
Nope.
16 weeks is a good time.
right, that when they've had their complete,
They can have 2 vaccines and go to puppy class.
Okay.
So they can they can get their second vaccine and they are allowed to attend puppy classes.
Well, that'll be April because she gets her first shots this week and then 4 weeks later she gets the second. So it'll be April.
She's already had her 8-week shot. So it's 8, 12, and 16 weeks for her distemper parvo vaccines.
there's
Okay.
cake on the counter.
So
All right. Thank you.
16.
You're welcome.
Yes. Thank you, Katie, for clarifying.
And thank you, Katie. I may have missed it because my computer had not been logged in a week. And so it took me a while, but the parade looked like a marvelous, marvelous thing. And thank you for all the work you did to make that possible. You and Valerie really showed up and did it right. So
I was so jealous. I've done that parade every year. And actually I had it show up in my timeline for 11 years ago. Stop it. Quiet. No. And it was really cool. I sent, Ellen, do you remember Boomer? Okay, so it came up with Rob Corelli and Boomer dancing at the parade. And so I sent it to Mary Lou and she was like, oh my God, because Boomer used to be one of our studs and he passed away. And so I just hadn't seen that come up in my timeline forever. So I was jealous of you all that got to do the parade. It looked fun. So next year, for those of you that didn't do it this year, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. They do a nice job, and New Horizons, you guys were very well represented. So that made me very happy. Did you get to pass out a lot of, was there a lot of interest from people? Valerie? Yes?
I mean, it was hard to, I mean, definitely the puppies were a big hit.
Yeah.
So, and after the parade, definitely when we were kind of hanging out afterwards, a lot of people that had been at the parade that were walking to their cars stopped and talked to us. So, but obviously while you're walking in the parade, you can't really
Right.
stop and talk to people, but a lot of people were definitely interested in those puppies and how they could get their hands on one.
That's always a draw. So yeah,
Yeah.
good.
We were able to hand out a few of the bookmarks. I need to return some because what I picked up to hand out, I'd left in my car, and Justin's truck was the one that was in it. So that was I had my hands full with the puppies, but we did hand out what we had of the bookmarks. And in stereo, you heard from the crowd, puppies, how do I get one? They need razors. So
Yeah.
good exposure.
Good, good, awesome. Yep. Okay, so we try to keep this to at least an hour or a little less. And I hope that this is helpful. That's always the goal. Very often I'll have videos and that kind of thing. If this is your first time on, I'll have videos. Tonight I didn't, only because I thought we were going to have somebody else and I was going to be listening, but we didn't. So if you have any suggestions, that we're not addressing something that you need to hear about, please let me know. You can either text me or you can, or you can put it in the chat or you can email me. I will put my number again. I know I put it at the beginning, but if you just got on, we want to do things that are going to help you be better raisers. That's always the goal. We want you to feel successful. We want this to be a good experience for you, and it can't be if you're feeling frustrated or you're not getting the information that you need. And I know some of you are not in the Central Florida area. You're a little farther out. And so if you're coming to in-person trainings and you're traveling, we so appreciate that. We appreciate when you get on our Zooms because we feel like this is information that everybody needs to hear. And so I saw that Laura put the address in the chat for the March training. Laura, what is that date again? The 22nd?
26th, I
Okay.
think. Hang on,
Okay,
let me check it, but I'm thinking
I
it's
think you're right.
26.
I think it is the 26th.
Yeah, it's in my calendar is the 26th.
Okay.
26 is Saturday, yep.
Okay, so the 26th, that's like the last weekend of March. We'll have access. Well, the one nice thing is client follow-up will be going on. So people who have received a dog will be there having a follow-up with their dog. So one, I don't want anybody to get too excited, especially if you're an older raiser and you've raised a dog and you're thinking, oh, my dog might be there. So don't get that excited. The goal is for you just to maybe see where our dogs are headed, especially for people maybe that are new and don't understand the mission, or maybe you understand it, but this would really give you a clear view of it. So we are going to be able to see a little bit of that, but the goal really is our training. But Laura's church has provided a house, right, Laura? That
Yeah.
we'll be able to do some things in. The house is empty. And
Yes.
we'll be able to go in there and practice some things. So, and we'll be able to see how your dog is progressing with a couple of different skills. So it will be helpful for everybody, I think.
Okay, don't go away yet. The wheel of names is spinning. And Jeff, you are tonight's winner.
Woo!
I don't know what the prize will be yet, but it'll be something. Woo!
All right, Jeff, yay.
Great, thank you.
And
Great.
oh, by the way,
Oh,
Laura's
wait a minute, wait,
church,
Laura, we have two Jeffs.
Armstrong's Jeff.
Oh, okay, Jeff Kunkel.
Sorry, Jeff Kunkel, my bad. And Laura's church isn't called Laura's church.
I never win anything, and now I almost won something.
Oh, okay, next time, Jeff.
Okay. We'll see what, I've got a roll of poo bags with your name on it. Let me.
You can always use those.
Yeah, really, okay. What I was gonna say is the church's name is Lakeside United Methodist Church.
I did say that at the beginning, Laura.
Okay, I missed it. I missed it.
Yes, and it's right off. Is there any more construction there right now? Is it done?
No, it's not done.
Okay.
It's like UCF, under construction forever. If you get to where the construction is finished and you didn't see the church, you missed it. It's just past the Lake Forest Publix and the Lake Forest area. It's on the, if you're going west, it's on the right-hand side. There's an apartment complex, and then there's the church right next door to it. It's across the street from the Atrium, which is a nursing home, retirement home. If you get as far out as the Rock, which is another church, you went too far, you missed it. If you get to Lake County, you missed it.
Yeah. It kind of sits down in just a little bit. So, but it is signed out front.
Yep. There is a sign that says welcome and Lakeside, and I think
Okay.
you'll find it.
Laura, Laura with Biggie, can you just put your email in there so that either Ellen or Laura can get it? Oh, the reason you didn't receive the March newsletter is because the final copy hasn't gone out yet. That's why you didn't get it. So,
Right.
Yes, Laura just put it in the chat so that she put in kind of like a,
It's a pre-version. It's a prequel. I don't know, preview. It has not been officially gone through the channels yet. I don't know. I've been gone for a week, so
yes.
it should be officially coming out soon, but there's a version of it in the chat that you can at least see the calendar.
Yep.
That
But make sure
shouldn't change.
if you're not getting the newsletter, that you please put your email or let somebody know you're not getting it, because right now that's kind of how we stay updated. Laura's putting as much information in the newsletter without overwhelming you, so we want to make sure that you're really checking that out, because Ellen doesn't have time to send all of these reminder emails out, so we kind of have to help each other remember things. I'm constantly asking Laura, when's the next training? When is this? Yes, she's kind of my extra calendar. So just, and we try to put things on the Facebook page, or if people text me and say, hey, when is this? I have no problem letting you know. So again, if you're having any training issues, or you have questions, or you have concerns about your dog, please reach out and ask for help, because that's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you're successful, that your dog is successful, and that this is a good experience for you so that you'll do it again. So does anybody have any questions or comments before we close out?
Wendy, I have something. I was kind of hoping you'd stay on at the end with me and talk.
Okay, we can.
Okay, it's not a whole group thing. I know everybody's probably not having the same issue. I'm having a counter surfing issue, so I wanted to talk with you.
All right. Yep. Okay. Well, if that is it, I try to give people a chance, because some people are always a little leery, but we're good, and we will see you at the Q&A must be next. Q&A must be next. So keep working, keep being consistent, keep taking your dogs out, and know that we appreciate you very, very much. We couldn't do this without you. New Horizons wouldn't be what it is without their volunteers. So see you later. Have a good night. Happy Friday Eve.
Hi, Wendy. It's good to see you.
I have a question. I want to know how Laura's week in paradise was, and
Oh,
Wendy's
hey,
willing to share with us where she's moving to.
Oh, she's not moving.
Oh, okay.
you're not moving yet, right?
No, I'm not moving yet. No.
Okay. No, and oh, by the way, we were out on Cayo Costa, which is a state park, but you can only get there by boat.
Yeah, you told us.
Well, the very cool